Hello, students. Welcome to this session of communication skills. Here we'll be learning about feedback, communication barriers, 7 C's of communications. So, students, in the earlier session, we have seen what is communication, its types, and the elements which were involved in the communication process. Now, here, can you see the flow chart which I have given? In this flow chart, as I told you, there are two people involved in the communication process, sender and the receiver. But between them, you can see the sender, who is the originator of the message, encodes the message, and which has been decoded by the receiver to get the message. And when this process is done, you could see there is an arrow going back to the sender with a feedback. That feedback is very important because it completes the communication cycle. What is feedback? Information about reactions to a product, a person's performance of a task, etc., which is used as a basis for improvement. Now, here, response to the received message is called feedback. If the response is as desired, that means receiver has decoded the message correctly. That means he has received the message properly and responded accordingly. Otherwise, there could be a need of resending the message with a better encoding from the sender's side. Feedback brings out the fruitful end of the communication. If there is no proper feedback, the sender doesn't understand whether the message what he wants to convey is being accepted or received by the recipient is very important, because this enriches the quality of communication, productivity of the people, and it also creates a good environment for the better performance and to achieve the goals. So in short, we could say a feedback completes the communication cycle. Like, you could have seen your teacher asking you few questions to understand whether the content what she's teaching to you and what you have understood, she wants to check it out. So based on that, she may ask few questions, and the answer what she gets from you, it plays a role as a feedback. So here the communication is done. In other ways also, you would have gone to a restaurant and you could have seen that you may get some feedback forms post dinner or lunch, whatever it is. You could see, you fill the form and give it back to the manager. Why do they do so? Because they want to see where do they go wrong and they can give you a better service in the future. In another example, I could say a doctor may inquire or get a feedback from the patient after prescribing the medicines, or he or she can understand the symptoms, and so that she can give the further treatment. So this is how the communication cycle goes on. Feedbacks play very important role as they help communicators to adapt some changes in the communication so that they can ensure a good and proper response and the proper purpose of communication is met properly. So few characteristics are there for a good feedback. As you can see, I put here: multidimensional, non-evaluative, supportive, constructive, consistent, timely, and specific. Now, when we see, feedback should be multidimensional. Why? Because it should give enough data to the person, the person who is receiving the feedback. He or may she should understand why it has been given to her. Okay, like for example, teacher gives different feedback through class test or the exam preparations. Next one is non-evaluative. Here, you should see that when a feedback is given, it is not to be compared with someone and given. It should simply tell what the person should do so that you can achieve a better performance. Like, for example, a teacher, she will not compare from one student to another, but she will rather tell you what you should do so that you can improve in your performances. Next one is supportive. Here, the recipient of the feedback should not feel criticized. Like, you don't have to demoralize while giving the feedback. You should give a feedback in such a way that he or she should feel more supportive and can do better. Next one is consistent. Here, when you give a feedback, it should be related to the details, or it should be connected to the earlier feedbacks. Like, for example, current feedback is related with the previous feedback and previous performance, so that a progress can be seen or it can be evaluated properly. In case of constructive, here the feedback should make the candidate feel more confident and more determined instead of feeling disheartened or discouraged. It is very similar to the supportive one. Next one is the timely. Timely feedback helps to correct their performance. For example, this happens most in sports area, where the coaches don't wait for another 10 more or 20 more matches to tell them what's going wrong and how they should improve on the game. So they give the feedback on the first game of the player. Next one is that specific. It should not mix details or data from any other related performance. Feedback given here should be very short and precise, so that the idea must be clear and it should understand very well by the recipient, so that he may feel more confident and give a better performance. So students, after looking into the characteristic of a good feedback, you could see I have put up here some tips for providing feedback and tips for receiving feedback. Under the tips for providing feedback, when you give your feedback, it should emphasize on positive feedback. It should be on behavior and attitude. Scope for improvement should be there. Providing solution, you have to provide solution for their problem. Do not make personal comments, it's very important. You shouldn't demoralize them. Receive the response to feedback with an open mind. So here at the same time, when you get the feedback from them, see that you take it on a positive note. Next one, for receiving feedback, here not to interrupt the feedback giver. If somebody is trying to give you the feedback, take it very positively. You shouldn't interrupt them by telling what was wrong and making unwanted excuses. Next one, listen attentively. Listening will help you to develop more of your communication process, making more successfully. Next one, keep positive body language. Next one, take the feedback positively. Ask short, specific questions if there is any doubt. Feedbacks are given in generally two modes, that is like non-specific or specific feedback. In this non-specific or general feedback, you can see given for a short duration or for quick improvements, given to group of candidates, covers only the details which help you in improving to perform better, which is like generally it has been given, so it is not specifically been told what is wrong and not detailing into the content. Next one, specific feedback. It is usually given to individual or a small group. It gives information in detail for improvement. And next one, it gives advice and suggestion to eliminate the problem. Like for example, if a student is facing difficulty in writing, improving the writing skill, so teacher may suggest to read more books or to try to develop the vocabulary, or there may be some correction of sentence where she could check with a grammatical mistake. So this comes under specific feedback. So students, we have seen the elements and we have seen the feedback which makes the communication process complete. But after this also, we could see there may be some barriers in the communication. Well, everything is there, sender, receiver, the channel, the message, everything is on its place. But what may be the other barriers which may not make the communication proper? Here I have given broadly like physiological factors, environmental factors, psychological barriers, and cultural barriers. First one, when we see the physical barriers like distance, location, and the physical setup of the place where the communication taking place makes the communication very difficult. Like there are several factors that constantly becomes the barrier, like the room, it may be too big, or the temperature in the room, hot or cold, or the bad seating, or the poor light, defective communication medium. All these things add up as a barrier to the communication. Next one, environmental factor. In this environmental factor, we could see the noise or the distraction of any sort, like distance Like when you try speaking from one end of the room to the other end, it is difficult if the room is very big. Your voice may not reach there, and of course your message also will not be conveyed to the other person. We could take in the public transport. Imagine if you are in a railway platform and you're trying to give your message from one side to the other side when there is a train just passing away in between you both. So you could understand how that noise could interrupt your communication. Next one, psychological barrier. Psychological barrier is like it's an emotional state or patience level or the temperament of the person or the recipient. Doesn't matter when you want to have a proper communication. Like for example, if your friend is angry with you, is there any point talking to him or trying to make understand certain things? It is difficult. You need to wait so that your friend cools down and then you try talking to him or her. Next one is cultural barriers. In this cultural barriers, you could see like we try speaking to people of different culture, but before speaking to them, we already have some perception and prejudice in our mind. The image and impression of the other person makes us prejudiced towards him, and we judge according to it. What he or she says. If we think that the person is dishonest or liar, we shall not trust what he or she says. Prejudice towards race, religion, region, gender, age, and caste are greatest barriers of communication that we should actually avoid. We saw that there are many barriers in the communications, but one could easily overcome them by such ways like handling physical challenges in a right way. Like for example, you have to see that physically challenge of the participants, like their hearing or the speaking, what problem they do have, and accordingly you can change your scenario and you can speak to them. You also need to be careful and polite in talking to them, or the keywords what you are trying to use to them should be more polite and should be in a positive way. Be prepared always. It is very important for better performance. You need some preparation and practice. If you don't have proper preparation, then it may lead to misinterpretation or misunderstanding, and at last you may also have very less self confidence, and then you may just land up giving the incomplete message. Next one is language competency and usage. Communicate in clear and simple language. With suitable language, we connect with others very easily and people also understand us easily so that this communication happen smoothly. Next one is condition and use of medium of communication. Ensure that communication medium all works properly so that when you have to communicate to a group of people, you don't have any kind of hindrance. So you should be aware that all the equipments or the connection media or the technology or the network should be very well properly operated and should be checked earlier so that you may not have any kind of communication barrier. Next one is body language. As we have seen earlier, also how body language is very important to communicate our message more appropriately. Here, you have to be more polite, confident, or comforting enough so that the person or the recipient will feel more comfortable and can confide in you. So, overall, your body should not betray what you communicate. Like, for example, if you want to converse something to some group of people and you can't just have a stick in your hand and then you try to converse something very smooth conversation, will the person be able to accept your message? No, definitely not. He may rather get scared of you. Next one is setting up expectations and agenda. Here, before starting with the communication, establish reason and purpose of communication so that people should not over or under expect. Doing this will help in smooth communication and easy understanding of the message. Next one is drop prejudice and careful handling of cultural differences. So here you are not going to unnecessarily have the assumption before the communication. You have to overcome the differences of caste, region, religion, gender, age while communicating with another person. So, students, after the barriers, let us look into the effective communication, principles of effective communications. Under this, you could see ability to express ideas in the most effective way to bring out desired results is the core of communication skills. So, of course, it helps in better outcome, or it helps the process to make better decision making or to develop good relationship with one another. So there are some few characteristics of effective communication, like it should be clear in content and purpose. It should be complete with least scope of questions. It should be based on right facts and figures. Written communication should be to the point. It develops relationship, promotes confidence, and creates goodwill. So overall, we could say good communication always leads to desired output and achievements. So we can have better outcome from it. So students, whenever you want to have a successful communication, you're supposed to look into these criteria. Like these are 7 C's which makes the effective communication. The first one is complete message. Complete message is very important because it develops trust with the receiver. Like it conveys all the facts and figures, or it considers as receiver's mindset, because it's very important that what are you trying to tell to that other person. It should always give some additional information so that the receiver finds a clear solution for all the questions that arise in his or her mind. Like when you want to encode your message, you should always have in your mind all these different WH type of questions, like whom the message is to be sent, what message is to be sent, or when it is to be sent, where it is to be sent, or why and how it should be sent. When you answer these questions, that time you can consider that your message is complete. Next one is concise message. Concise means the message should be short and sweet. Why? Because this saves time and it also promotes understanding. Concise means to the point, appropriately sized, because too short message leaves doubts and questions, and too long messages leads to confusion and misunderstanding. So your message should be always concise. Next one, consideration implies empathy. That is, you have to consider people's emotions or their mindset. In short, I could say stepping into the shoes of others to understand others' situation in a better way so that you can have a better communication. It is very important for a good communicator that he should understand whenever he conveys the message, he or she must consider the person's or the audience mindset before conveying the message or before trying to communicate. Like for example, you can't just tell a villager to use Zoom app to sell his production, right? You have to understand his problems and then you have to communicate the proper content or the message. Next one, we are talking about clarity. That is like to use exact and appropriate set of words to give the message very clearly. It creates complete clarity of thoughts and ideas and should avoid confusion so that it can enhance the proper understanding. Like you can't just tell the person you can do like this also and you can do like that also. Here 50-50 you can't just give. You have to give the clear idea to that person so that he or she can act accordingly. Use simple sentences so that there may be no confusion, and use a very familiar language where both the parties are comfortable with. Next one, we are talking about concrete. Concrete message means you have to present your message with proper facts and figures rather than just being fuzzy and just speaking out generally. what happens, this will develop your confidence because you're ready with your message with the supportive facts and figures, and this strengthens your confidence when you're sure with whatever you want to pass on the message. This also prevents misinterpretations. Courtesy in message implies the message should show the sender's expression as well as should respect the receiver. The sender of the message should be sincerely polite, judicious, reflective, and enthusiastic. The person can't be biased. Like this will help to improve the relation with the receiver, and they can have a better understanding and proper feedback within themselves. Last one is correctness. Correctness is communication implies that there are no grammatical errors in communication, and there shouldn't be any false information also. The message should be exact, and it should be correct, and it should be well timed also. It should check for the precision and the accurateness where appropriate words are used with correct language, and this message should be understand or understood by the receiver and can give a proper feedback, or the proper outcome should come from this communication process. So these are seven terms starting with letter C, which defines effective communication more appropriately and helps us to have a better communication. Thank you. This is all for this session.